You are listening to A Path to New You, a podcast about mental health and veterans issues. In today's episode, I want to talk about self-help. Well, some of you who are listening to this may already know exactly what self-help is, or you've actually been doing it. Um, some of you may not, so I want to discuss it a little bit. So, what does self-help mean? The term self-help is associated with actions and interventions that a person can take on their own or with guided literature, as opposed to working with a clinician or therapist, psychiatrist, or anybody like that. Self-help can help you think about your goals with a big picture view. It encourages you to, for example, outline your short-term goals and long-term goals and whether they are realistic and achievable. Self-help can also help you be more systematic in the way you approach the changes you want to see. So again, self-help is basically helping yourself. You're not talking to a therapist, you're kind of doing it on your own. There are people out there who do it, like myself and others. Is self-help useful? Self-improvement can be highly useful, but going to legitimate sources is important. Again, there are numerous books and websites and even podcasts out there that are applicable. You just got to make sure that they are legitimate. There's also different categories. Should I say categories? About the certain things you want to help yourself in. For example, if you're looking to do some self-help in like anxiety, you'd have to look up like books on anxiety, like how to control your anxiety and whatnot, stuff like that. How can I seek mutual support? Self-help doesn't necessarily mean going it alone. Mutual support groups for priorities such as examples like mental health, physical health, aging, weight control, parenting, caregiving, career change, and addiction related recovery not only provide like-minded companionship and encouragement, but also knowledge and direction from peers and others. Now, I've read in other sources and stuff that doing groups, actually, people learn a lot more while in groups than there are alone. That's another talk about therapy and whatnot. Group therapy, there seems to be more, like, especially for kids and even adults, being in groups of where other people who are having a hard time with the same kind of things that you are, getting information, ideas. It actually seems to help more with groups than individual therapy or whatnot. Does that make sense? I'm kind of asking if it makes sense. Think in your head. Does that make sense? If not, well, I guess you can just look it up. So clients and whatnot tend to get more out of. I guess what I'm trying to say is clients tend to get more out of group therapy or support groups than they are with one-on-one therapy. Some depends on the person too, I guess. Person doesn't want to be around other people. Maybe one-on-one therapy would probably fit them more than, let's say, someone who's probably get more out of a group therapy and with one-on-one therapy. People in groups tend to open up more as well than they are with one-on-one therapy. Like I mentioned in self-help, you can do it alone. Kind of look up your own information, look up books, read books on your own. Um, or you can actually work with other people who are dealing with the same kind of things, and maybe they get more ideas and more information and ideas from others who are going through the same thing. Hope that explains what I'm kind of talking about. Again, there are podcasts out there like mine you can actually listen to and maybe get a little more information on something that you want more information on. You can go back a ways, and I do have episodes on anxiety, um, and a lot of mental health related stuff. If you're looking for more information on how to get through something, more information on a certain topic, I'm sure you could either find it in my podcast, someone else's podcast, or even a book. There's audiobooks. You can go on YouTube and look up stuff too. But just make sure it's legitimate. Some of the stuff out there is just not legitimate. I hope that all makes sense. Again, self-help is a focus on self-guided in contrast to professionally guided efforts to cope with life problems. That's what self-help is. The focus on self-guided, so you're guiding yourself through certain situations, in contrast to professionally guided, saying like a therapist, psychiatrist, a coach, like a life coach or anything like that. Instead of using your therapist or whatever, you're doing it on your own. You're self-guiding. You're focused on yourself. You are guiding yourself to get through certain situations. Now, depending on where you're at in that situation, self-help might work. But if you've been going through what you're going through, for example, anxiety or sleep, you just cannot get to sleep. You've been trying different things for the last couple months or something. Maybe it's time that you find support, as in a support group with people who are having the same difficulty falling asleep, or it's time for you to talk to a professional like a psychiatrist or even a therapist. Maybe a therapist first, and maybe there's a reason why you're not falling asleep because you got a lot on your mind, you just don't know what to do. And then talk to a psychiatrist. A therapist might refer you to a psychiatrist for medications to help you fall asleep. Like melatonin, or could be something else. You can get melatonin over the counter, I believe. And a therapist might just say, you know what, I know of a support group that's out there that might help you out. Again, self-help, or again, self-improvement is focused on self-guided in contrast to professionally guided efforts to cope with life problems. Like I mentioned, there's podcasts out there. There are support groups out there. A lot of them are free. Support groups are free. Some of them are. A prime example of a support group would be like an AA meeting or NA meeting. A lot of them are online now since the pandemic. There's a lot of online support groups, as well as in-person support groups. Some people would rather go to a group and do it online instead of going to that location. Some people would rather go to a location and be in person than doing it online. It all depends on the person, on like how you feel about your situation and whatnot. Anyway, I hope you learned something today. I am always looking for guests on this podcast. If you know someone or you would like to be a guest on my podcast, please reach out. I know it's been over a month since I've done an episode, and I apologize for that. I've been extremely busy with everything going on. I'm hoping to start doing more episodes, maybe every other week, maybe hopefully every week. I'd like to do one. Again, it takes time to do these episodes. I gotta gather information. It takes time. And lately I just haven't had a whole lot of time. If there's a topic you would like me to discuss, please reach out. Let me know. I have a Facebook page for my uh, for this podcast. I will put a link in the comments or in the area where I talk about what this episode is about. I'll put a link there. Please reach out. You can message me there. I would like more guests on the show. Right now it's just me talking for about 10, 15, 20 minutes. But I would like other people on this podcast who know more about a certain topic than what I know. It's been a few months since I had a guest, and I'd like to have more guests. Anyway, you can find this podcast on most streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music. Anyway, most streaming platforms. And it's free to listen to. Please rate and review after listening to my episodes. The rating definitely helps with my podcast, makes it more it just boosts my podcast so more people know about it. I think I've only had one person, at least on Spotify, rate my podcast, and I've had people tell me, "Oh, I've listened to your podcast." If you have, it doesn't take much. Just please rate, review. Let me know how you like the episode, what I can do to improve my podcast. I'd like that as well. Again, you're listening to a Path to New You. Until next time, be safe and be well.